Now we return to local news with Caroline.
One of the teenagers accused of murdering Negus McLean in Edmonton 2 years ago has pleaded guilty to stabbing another youth. Brandon Hamilton, 18, of Broad Oak Avenue, Enfield Lock, is standing trial at the Old Bailey with Bilal Lariba, 18, of Mile Close, Enfield Lock, Tertian Dos Santos Edwards, 19, of St Albans, Hertfordshire, and a 16-year-old who cannot be named for legal reasons. All four deny murdering 15-year-old Negus in Westminster Road on April 10, 2011. Hamilton pleaded guilty last Wednesday to wounding Okan Dumlepunar with intent. Mr. Dumlepunar was stabbed on April 8, 2011 in Clydesdale, Ponders End. In the opening week of the trial, the jury heard that Mr. Dumlepunar, a member of the Dem Africans gang, was attacked as he fled from a group of boys chasing him. The prosecution say his attackers were members of the Get Money gang, fierce rivals of Dem Africans, intent of revenge for an attack on one of their members 5 days earlier, when Jamal Mohammed was stabbed in St Stephen's Road, Enfield Lock, and thrown into a canal. PC Charlie Leather told the court that he recognised one of the gang of boys on bikes seen on CCTV footage taken from the day of Negus' death as Lariba, an associate of the GMG gang. The court heard that PC Leather had spoken to him in excess of 30 times in the course of his day-to-day work with the Safer Neighbourhood team in Enfield Lock. Asked by prosecuting counsel Simon Dennison QC what it was about the figure that made him sure it was the defendant, PC Leather told the court, "It was his hairline, his skin tone, his clothing and his build." He added, "He has a very distinctive hairline. I have no doubt that it was him." Defence counsel for Lariba, David Spence QC, put it to the officer that in his original statement taken on May 3, 2012, at the formal viewing of the CCTV footage, he had said, "I can tell it's him due to his cropped hair, skin tone and build." "There was no mention on May 3rd about this very distinctive hairline," said Mr. Spence. "There was not a word about it. I am suggesting to you that you have been trying to improve your evidence. I am going to suggest to you that it was quite impossible for you to have recognised him from this footage." Describing what he meant when he said cropped in his statement on May 3rd, PC Leather told members of the jury, "His hair is cut cropped across the front, pointing to his own hairline. The trial continues."
Sadly, another violent item here, and it's a man accused of murder in a street in Southgate 2 weeks ago has been remanded in custody until August after appearing at the Old Bailey on Monday. Samuel Zeria, 20, of Hathersage Court, Canonbury, North London, is accused of shooting dead Zafar Erin. The 34-year-old from Tottenham was gunned down in Fontaine Court off High Street shortly before 7:30 p.m. on April the 18th. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Zeria, who made no application for bail, is due to reappear at the Old Bailey on August the 1st for a plea and case management hearing. A post-mortem examination at Finchley Mortuary last week gave the cause of Mr. Erin's death as a gunshot wound to the chest. An inquest was opened and adjourned last Tuesday in Barnet. An incident room has been opened under Detective Chief Inspector Stephen Lawrence at the Homicide and Serious Crime Command. On Thursday evening, a week after Mr. Erin's death, officers returned to the scene of the shooting to hand out leaflets and talk to people in the area. DCI Lawrence said, "We are also still keen to hear from anyone with any information about what happened that night."
A senior counsellor has described closing Southgate Police Station as nothing short of madness in the aftermath of a fatal shooting last month. That's the one John was just reading about. Councillor Christine Hamilton, the Cabinet Member for Community Wellbeing and Public Health, blamed Mayor of London Boris Johnson for waving through the closure of the front counter in Chase Side in the weeks before 34-year-old Zafar Erin was killed in Southgate. Although the borough is set to receive 85 more police officers by 2015 in the Conservative Mayor's plan to put bobbies before buildings, Councillor Hamilton said the borough needs more police now and criticised Mr Johnson for not putting enough officers on the beat. The Labour politician who represents Enfield Lock said, "The police in Enfield do a fantastic job with the resources they have available to them. Although Boris Johnson has promised more police officers in Enfield, this is over the next 2 years and we need resources now." 2 murder investigations were launched during April into the deaths of 19-year-old Mohammed Hussein in Bounces Road, Edmonton, on Monday, April the 1st, and Mr Erin in Fontaine Court, Southgate, on Thursday, April the 18th. Councillor Hamilton said the crimes show the closure of the front counter at Southgate Police Station, passed last month after Mr Johnson's crime and policing plan, is madness. The station will open for 3 hours a week for non-urgent face-to-face contact between the public and the police. The Mayor's plan aimed to cut the cost of keeping underused police buildings open and use the cash to employ more officers throughout London. Councillor Hamilton's comments came one day after MP David Burrows told the Enfield Independent Mr Johnson's promise to bring 85 more officers to Enfield should reassure the public in the aftermath of the murders. Mr Burrows said, "I was shocked and surprised about such an incident happening in Southgate. It looks like it had particular characteristics that didn't seem like it was a random attack. However, any murder is appalling and abhorrent, and we need to ensure that there are enough police about so the community can be reassured." Despite arguing, quote, "at every opportunity for more police officers to come to the borough," Councillor Hamilton said the council is working hard with the police to bring down crime and make the most of its limited resources. She said, "We are working with them in partnership. We are doing our best. Even though the 2 murders and gun crime is shocking, we are actually making a difference, and youth and gun crime is going down. The 2 gun crimes are awful, but we can't take away just how much we are doing and how we are making a difference and bringing it down."
Sinkholes have started to appear in Enfield, sparking fears homes could soon be disappearing beneath the ground. Horrified resident Rick Jewell discovered an 8-foot hole in the field opposite his home in Hoe Lane last week and said it seemed to have appeared overnight. Mr Jewell said more must be done to ensure that other holes, which can cause buildings to collapse, do not appear. He told the Advertiser, "I phoned Enfield Council immediately, and although someone came out within 10 minutes, they looked quite shocked when they realised this deep hole had appeared so suddenly. I told him, I bet you just fill it up rather than looking at the underlying issue." Although the hole had been filled in by the next day, the grandfather of 5 is furious that the root of the problem is not being investigated. "I just saw people throwing dirt in the hole and stamping on it," he said. "I asked if they weren't concerned about where the earth had actually gone. I mean, it hasn't gone up, has it?" Mr Jewell, who works as a postman, revealed that this is not the first time the strange sinkholes have suddenly appeared in the field. He said the same thing happened last year, and just like now, no further investigations were carried out by council officers. "I worry about people crossing in the field in the dark," said Mr Jewell. "I just think it's very negligent of the council just to fill in the hole and not investigate further." He believes the mystery of the missing earth has its roots in the previous use of the land, which was once a quarry for the Enfield Brick Company. Mr Jewell said the quarry was filled in with landfill when the area was developed for housing, and he believes the slow disintegration of the landfill materials has left the land sunken and unstable. "There is no way I would allow my own grandchildren to play on the land by themselves," he said. The council has now promised to investigate the problem. Cabinet Member for Environment, Chris Bond, said, "We understand concerns regarding the unexpected appearance of a sinkhole over the site of a former gravel pit in Enfield, and people's safety is our overwhelming priority. We have filled the hole in and fenced off the area, and there is no danger to members of the public. Our surveyors have visited the site, and we will be arranging further structural and geographical assessments from experts in this field to see if further work is required."
And now for a sports item, which tells us that Saracens' dreams of reaching the Heineken Cup final for the first time were shattered on Sunday as they were beaten 24 to 12 points by Toulon in the semi-finals at Twickenham. There was generally little to choose between the sides in an evenly contested encounter, but a flawless display of goal-kicking from Johnny Wilkinson proved decisive as the French giants pulled clear in the closing stages to emerge victorious. "It was a really close game," said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. "The scoreline doesn't say that, and it looks like Toulon won comfortably, but that wasn't the case at all. We had a couple of opportunities in their 22 to score tries. We couldn't take those and sustain the pressure, and the game got away from us at the end. When we lost to Clermont-Auvergne in the quarter-finals last year, we were second best by miles. It didn't feel that way at all in this match. We went toe-to-toe with Toulon, and it could have gone either way. I think that shows the progress we've made in the past 12 months. We said in the changing room after the match that the season isn't over yet. We've still got an awful lot to play for. We'll get over this, and let's hope we can end what's been a really good season on a high." All the points in the match were scored by the two fly halves, with Wilkinson kicking 4 penalties in the first half and Owen Farrell 3, to leave Toulon with a 12-9 lead. The two kickers exchanged penalties early in the second half before Sarries squandered a golden chance to take the lead when they had a try disallowed for a clear forward pass by Farrell. This proved a decisive moment as they were unable to score again, and Wilkinson sealed Toulon's victory by adding 2 more penalties and a brilliant long-range drop goal as Sarries wilted under pressure. Meanwhile, Sarries' trio, Farrell, Matt Stevens and Maku Vunipola, have all been named in the British and Irish Lions squad for their forthcoming tour of Australia.
Work on the Salmons Brook flood alleviation scheme is about to begin, more than 12 years after almost 200 homes in Edmonton were wrecked by flooding. The Environment Agency is due to begin work on the £15 million scheme in the next fortnight, and it's expected to take almost 2 years to complete. The work includes raising the banks of the brook along Salmons Walk between Plevna Road and Montague Road, Edmonton, and an embankment will be built on the boundary of Enfield Golf Club and Cheney Walk open space in Grange Park. In October 2000, heavy rain caused the brook to overflow, and 192 homes in Montague Road area were flooded. Edmonton MP Andy Love, who fought to get the plans approved, said, "For people in Edmonton, it's been a very long wait with several setbacks and false starts. Fortunately, now we will see the culmination of all the campaigning that has been done for a project that is long overdue and which will benefit people not just in Edmonton but across the borough of Enfield. The works will significantly reduce the risk of flooding. I am very pleased that the Environment Agency has taken the matter very seriously." The agency, which was granted planning permission for the work by Enfield Council in February, said the scheme would protect almost 1,400 properties from potential flooding. The work is being funded by a combination of central government money and a contribution from the Thames Regional Flood and Coastal Committee levy, a tax paid by local authorities to fund anti-flooding projects. But some residents in Grange Park oppose the plans, as the work will mean up to 20 heavy lorries passing by their homes every day for a period of 15 weeks. The golf course will also be used as a floodplain, so it will flood more frequently than before. But Stephen Whipp, project client at the Environment Agency, said, "Access to the Cheney Walk allotments will be maintained at all times, and we will have a dedicated community liaison officer on site at all times. Furthermore, we have agreed with the council that heavy lorries will deliver between 9:30 a.m. and 3 p.m, so as to avoid the rush hour and the school opening and closing times, and in order to minimise disruption for residents."
A former Conservative councillor who dedicated her life to helping others died last week after losing her battle with bladder cancer. Ruth Holmes, who represented the Enfield Lock Ward between 2006 and 2010, died at her home in Tysoe Avenue on April 22nd, aged 59. She had been suffering from cancer for more than a year. Mrs. Holmes had worked for the Enfield Lock community since moving to the area with her husband Sam in 2001, as well as being a part-time church administrator at the Gospel Centre in Hornsey. Mrs. Holmes was a school governor at both Ayland School in Keswick Drive, Freezywater, and Prince of Wales Primary School in Salisbury Road, Enfield Lock. Describing her commitment to helping people in the area, Mr. Holmes, 57, told the Advertiser, she was the sort of person who, when something needed done, she got on with it. She was a committed Christian and she wasn't afraid of nailing her colours to the mast. Mr. Holmes said that he and the couple's 32-year-old daughter, Rachel, were the ones who took most pride in what Mrs. Holmes did for the people of the Enfield Lock community. It is us who are really proud of her, he added. A funeral service for Mrs. Holmes will be held at 1 p.m. on May 10th at the Gospel Centre in Whitemond Road, Hornsey. And in lieu of flowers, her family have requested that mourners make donations to the North London Hospice, Macmillan Cancer Support or Marie Curie Cancer Care.
Did you know that cyclists do it faster? Well, according to the results of a competition pitting them against other modes of transport in a race through the borough, it is so. In a timed experiment to find the borough's quickest commute, 2 cyclists, a driver, a walker and a bus passenger raced from John Wilkes' house in Ponders End High Street to the Civic Centre in Silver Street, Enfield. In what will be a boost to the cycling lobby, within a quarter of an hour, both cyclists proved that 2 wheels are better than 4, after the first whizzed up to the council's headquarters just 8 minutes and 45 seconds after setting off. The second cyclist arrived on the scene minutes later, having raced to the Civic Centre in 30 minutes and 32 seconds. Both cyclists beat the car driver, who joined them 5 minutes later, having taken 18 minutes and 40 seconds to complete the 2-mile route. The walker hiked the distance in 29 minutes, and the poor old bus passenger made it in 42 minutes. A half-hour cycling session at moderate intensity can burn off between 75 and 155 calories. Stressing the health benefits of cycling, Rachel Buck, Enfield Council's Senior Travel Awareness Officer, told the Advertiser Enfield has one of the highest rates of childhood obesity in London, and cycling is a really good way to overcome that. With cycling, it becomes part of your daily routine. It is one of the best ways to help children get their recommended amount of daily exercise. Although admitting she didn't expect the cyclists to arrive first, Rachel added that the wind chimes with the council's plans to promote cycling in the borough this summer. In Enfield we have a network of greenway routes, which are quiet routes where people can get out on their bikes if they don't want to cycle on busy roads, she said. We also have free cycle training. You can have up to 4 hours with a professional instructor. The council is also running doctor bike sessions in Enfield Town Marketplace on the first Saturday of every month, and residents can also attend monthly cycle maintenance classes.
A boy fighting leukemia has helped other children with their recovery after asking for help to build a new hospital playroom. When 11-year-old Sam Long from Hoddesdon was diagnosed with the condition last year, his family friend Jackie Pierce asked him if she could hold a charity event to buy him a gift of his choice. The brave Lister Hospital patient asked Miss Pierce of Ladysmith Road in Enfield to raise cash to go towards building a new playroom with facilities suitable for children with cancer through the East and North Herts Hospital's The Magic of Play appeal. Ms. Pierce raised £2,000 after a charity evening at North Enfield Conservative Club in Baker Street to help turn Sam's dream into a reality, with the new playroom to be built next year. The money will be donated towards the hospital's drive to raise £250,000 to replace the 25-year-old play area with a space with better access for wheelchair users, as well as a sensory area for young people with learning disabilities. Miss Pierce said, Sam and his family did their bit by making and selling tickets, getting fabulous raffle prizes. Everybody was so generous. Footballer Billy Wingrove gave us a personal coaching session which was auctioned and then presented to Sam by Haley Hall School staff. For me as the coordinator, it was my pleasure to be involved with such a brave young man and his wonderfully supportive family, who over the years have shown me such warmth and friendship. Rebecca Cheeseman, community fundraiser for East and North Hearts Hospitals charity, said, "When Sam and his family came in with Jackie for her cheque presentation, his bravery, selflessness and sheer courage shone through. We are extremely grateful to Jackie for her amazing efforts, which will help provide a playroom for all sick children, and to Sam for being such an inspirational and wonderful ambassador for the appeal. We are now one step nearer to his wish to help other sick children to have their very own playroom next year."
Enfield Council has been awarded £200,000 to clamp down on social housing tenants who are illegally subletting their homes. The Council's counter-fraud team, which has the task of identifying fraudulent council service users, was given the money last week after applying for central government funding in February. The sum, which was the maximum amount available, will be awarded over a 2-year period. Enfield was one of 62 local authorities in the country to make a successful application. The counter-fraud team will work with the Housing Investigation Team, which was set up in 2010 to tackle housing fraud, in particular the unlawful subletting of properties, and investigate allegations of fraud in partnership with Enfield Homes, Enfield Police and housing associations. Andrew Stafford, the Council's Cabinet Member for Finance and Property, said, "People who sublet their council home are not only denying housing to those in need, but also costing the taxpayer money and are profiting from fraud. This is why I wholeheartedly welcome both local authorities and the police being given these greater powers to crack down on such criminal behaviour with this £200,000 funding. This will help our award-winning counter-fraud team continue to work collaboratively with Enfield Homes and other registered social landlords to tackle tenancy fraud cheats. It will also allow us to recruit more investigators to prevent and detect housing fraud. It will become a criminal offence this summer for tenants to sublet their council or housing association property. The Prevention of Social Housing Fraud Act 2013 also enables local authorities to prosecute any tenant which it finds subletting property. Those found abusing their tenancies could receive a fine and a prison sentence of up to 2 years, while the council will be able to recover and keep all the profits made by a tenant as a result of subletting. Since its creation, the Housing Investigation Team has looked into hundreds of allegations of fraud. To date, the team has carried out more than 700 home visits and tenancy audits, conducted 380 inquiries and recovered 120 properties which had been sublet illegally.
Stomach rumbles may be heard from a councillor who is spending just £1 a day on food to raise awareness about global poverty this week. Thrifty councillor Bambos Shavalambu has been bargain shopping for rice, lentils, porridge, bread and cheese spread in preparation for the 5-day Live Below the Line charity campaign, which began on Monday. It is the second time Councillor Sharalambu, who represents Palmer's Green, has been involved in the challenge, although he admitted he previously found sticking to the strict rules tough when he left his sandwiches at home one day. Councillor Sharalambu, who is also Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure, Youth and Localism at Enfield Borough Council, said, "It is pretty scary. It's going to be a bit monotonous, so for variety I'm going to get some spaghetti in tomato sauce. I did it a couple of years ago, but it was quite difficult because one day I forgot my sandwiches and I couldn't buy anything else, so I had to go for 12 hours without eating anything." The Labour politician has spent 40p on 1 kilogram of rice, £1 on 500 grams of green lentils, 65p on 500 grams on porridge oats, and 50p on a loaf of white bread. Penny pinching Councillor Shavalambu has also spent 61p on cheese spread, 19p on 2 tins of spaghetti, 20p on vegetable stock cubes, and £1.26p on tomatoes, onions and other vegetables. Councillor Shavalambu, who may be a little lethargic during council meetings this week, admitted skipping his early morning coffee will be tough, as he will be unable to afford the luxury while living below the line. The councillor, who lives in Palmer's Green, hopes to hit his target of raising £750 for Positive Women, a charity which supports women and children in Africa.
That sounds like a windy diet to me. Anyway, staff and students celebrated when their school was rated outstanding in every way by schools watchdog Ofsted. Worcester's primary school in Forty Hill was praised by Ofsted inspectors for working hard to improve all aspects of the school's work since its last inspection in May 2011, when it was just judged satisfactory. The inspectors rated the school in Goat Lane on pupil achievement, quality of teaching, behaviour and teaching of pupils and leadership and management. Head teacher Karen Jaggi, who joined the school in February 2011, said, "With Enfield Council's support and the full backing of governors, staff and parents, Worcester's has gone from strength." Councillor Aoife Orhan, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, said, "Worcester's has earned this well-deserved success. The school is a model of excellence, and this is reflected in the Ofsted report. I congratulate all the children, staff, governors and parents."
Letter here from Caroline Pidgeon, leader of the Liberal Democrat London Assembly Group. Did you know that there are almost 20 million Oyster cards in existence, often left in people's drawers, which haven't been used for more than a year? In total, there is a huge £53 million worth of credit left on these cards. Of course, there are some people keeping hold of a card in case of occasional travel or for visitors, but for many people, these dormant cards are simply no longer used. If you have an unused Oyster card, any money left on it can be claimed back, and if you paid a deposit for the card, this is returnable as well. At present, the best way to claim your money back is through the Oyster Contact Centre on 0343 222 1234. Repeat, 0343 222 1234. But within a few weeks, it should be possible to claim a refund at any tube station as well. It's a shame this has been kept quiet for so long.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Caroline, John and me, with Robin on the controls, it's goodbye. Bye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking newspaper. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.